The 6-week postpartum visit is a comprehensive physical and emotional health evaluation with your care provider, usually your OBGYN, a midwife, or maybe even a family doctor. Its purpose is to assess your healing, support your recovery, and identify any needs that may still be present. It is an essential step in closing the birth chapter and moving forward into postpartum life with intention. A lot of what I'm going to say is what's supposed to be done. If it's getting done by your provider or your healthcare team, that's going to be unsure of. But here's some of the things that you may want to expect that could happen. A very big one is always to check vital signs and a general physical exam. Your provider is probably going to do a blood pressure, your pulse. It's probably going to check your weight and your temperature as well. There is also a very high chance that they're going to gently, or not so gently, palpate your abdomen to ensure that your uterus has actually contracted back down to its pre-pregnancy size, and that your internal organs are settling back into place. Other things to check for will be incision, if you had a C-section, or perineal healing check. This also depends on your birth and the experience, because they'll examine a C-section incision site to ensure that it's healing and it's free from any infection. Whereas if you had a vaginal birth and you had an episiotomy or any natural tearing, they're going to check that it's fully closed and healing. Same thing, they're going to also look for infection. If you had no stitches, they'll still assess your perineum for swelling, tenderness, or any signs of trauma that might be giving you heartache there. Another thing that they might look for is a breast exam, and this can be to check for any lumps, pain or tenderness, unusual discharge. Even if your breastfeeding is going well, this is a chance to bring up any discomfort you may have regarding engorgement maybe, or other questions regarding mastitis or other health concerns that come with breastfeeding. And while most providers are not lactation experts, they can refer you to one if more help is needed beyond their care. Now again, some, not all, do a pelvic and a vaginal exam, and this can be a visual and a manual inspection, because they're going to examine the vulva, vagina, and the cervix. They're going to check for any of the tears, like I mentioned previously, scar tissue or trauma, while they're also going to identify any signs of prolapse or maybe even infection. Now, this is regarding if you're going to more of an OBGYN stance, but if you're due for a pap smear, or they suggest that it is wise, this may be included. If not, the pelvic exam is still done to ensure that your pelvic floor and vaginal tissues are recovering well. Again, anything you feel uncomfortable with doing, you can say no to. Thyroid check. A lot of times your postpartum thyroid changes and are more common than most people realize. So if your provider doesn't gently palpate your neck to assess the size and function of your thyroid gland or do blood work, this is something that you can request as well. This is important because of postpartum thyroiditis or dysfunction, and this can impact your mood, your energy, milk supply, and even your menstrual cycle. So if they're not looking for that, that's something that you can look at now. I really always suggest that when you go to a doctor appointment or with your midwife, always come with questions and any symptoms that might be happening, because it's a space to bring up anything that you may have noticed. Maybe you feel very heavy in your pelvis. Maybe you're leaking urine or stool. Maybe there's breastfeeding challenges or vaginal dryness or pain. Maybe you're fatigued that feels beyond just your normal tired of being a mom, or anything else that just really feels off to you. And as I said before, my tip for you would be to write your questions down ahead of time. Your brain is doing a million things, and there is no need to rely on memory alone. Come in with a notebook and don't let them back down. Get your questions answered. Some, not all, of care providers may offer a questionnaire to screen for things like postpartum depression, anxiety, OCD, or birth trauma. Maybe even emotional dysregulation. If you have been feeling overwhelmed, irritable, weepy, or panicked, or just feeling like not yourself beyond what you think it should be, this is the time to speak up. Your mental health is just as important as your physical recovery. And yes, these symptoms may be common, but common doesn't mean that they're normal or needed, because you deserve to feel supported and not dismissed. So if they don't provide you a questionnaire, I really suggest that you bring up some of what you're feeling. Just talk about the different feelings that are going on with you lately. If they do, this is the visit where your provider might say things like, "You're cleared for intercourse." But let's just be clear here, and this is something that is really important to me. Just because your body is technically healed, it doesn't mean that maybe your mind or your own heart or even your spirit is ready. Because if you're not feeling ready, that's very valid, and you don't owe anyone an explanation. But if needed, you could simply say to your spouse, partner, whoever, "I just need more time." And if you are ready to resume intimacy, you'll want to talk about different birth control options if that's at play for you, especially if you're not going to plan for another pregnancy anytime soon. If you're going to be breastfeeding, your options are limited because combined estrogen and progestin methods can actually lower your milk supply. So providers normally often recommend things like progesterone-only pills, which they say is a mini pill. Non-hormonal IUDs is another one. And of course, we have condoms or different fertility awareness methods that are more holistic. Each method has pros and cons, of course. We know birth control before, but you're just going to want to ask your doctor questions and choose what feels best for your body and your lifestyle. If you're ready to begin light movement again, ask the questions. What kind of exercise is safe right now? Is my pelvic floor ready? Would pelvic floor therapy be beneficial? And listen, even if you feel great, slow and steady wins the race. Healing is layered, and there are many layers to it. It's physical, but it's also emotional and hormonal. So no need to rush back into high impact movement. Instead, think of things like walking, stretching, breathing, or even just gentle reconnection with your body. Remember that this appointment is not just a formality. It's an opportunity to pause, reflect, and check in with your whole self. Your body has done something very extraordinary, and this visit is a checkpoint on the sacred journey that is postpartum healing. So please go into your 6-week checkup with confidence. Bring your questions in a notebook and speak your truth while asking for support in the many different realms, because you deserve care that honors your entire being and not just your uterus. I want to thank you again so much for watching another video. Make sure to subscribe to find more tips like these and just overall videos that are there to support you for women's health. Peace!